yourself and tell us a bit about what you do?
Yes, my name's Lorna Carmen McNeill and I'm a practicing artist. I was trained in fine art and I combine sculpture with painting, drawing, light and digital technology. I'm very interested in experimenting and also collaborating with different specialities like lighting design and engineers and different areas that are relevant for the project I'm in, because I find it really helps to open my creativity. Whereas if you just work in one area, you tend to repeat, and I'm interested in opening creativity rather than straining down. The last project I did, the last major project, was a residency at the Langley Academy in Slough, and I was asked there to make an installation using fibre optics because it was to connect with Herschel, who lived for many years in Slough, and he discovered infrared, and that contributed to early fibre optics. So I looked for that. I looked at the journey of our universe and how I could make sculptures which showed the huge journey of the universe that we're involved with, from the birth of the universe to the emergence of stars and galaxies and then supernovas. And the project was called Transforming from Stardust, because we're changing with the universe just as the cosmos is changing. So we had an installation and lots of kids came into this dark tent. There was a sign on it which said, "The whole universe is in this tent," in the school. And the kids were going in and they just got really excited, and I really enjoy that as an artist, seeing they were saying things like, "Oh, it makes me really want to know more about space, it makes me want to learn, it makes me want to discover how things work, I want to make one like it." And I had one, in fact, person who said, "Would I make them the whole universe, please?" And then they then went off and did all sorts of projects around it, from technology to physics to art projects, so it really spanned the whole thing. So I fell into it, although my training was drawing, painting and sculpture, so I learned sort of core technical skills. But then when I realised I wanted to work with changing mood and well-being, I started putting perspex in the oven to shape it, because I like sculpting, and projecting light through, so that, because I found that when you do that you start getting a lot of really interesting effects that people respond to. I didn't start off thinking I want to work with light. It's just that I found light and colour profoundly affect mood, and I'm very interested in affecting people and helping them to feel more inspired. We're living in very dark times where there's really not a lot of hope in a lot of areas. So my work's all about, hopefully, giving people an experience that they may not normally have to uplift them. So I've had people say, "I felt depressed," and then when I walked into the installation I started to feel better. So my work's quite about well-being, relaxation, but also stimulating people to want to change and be more creative, and light is quite activating. It tends to really have quite a powerful impact on people, and it has been used in certain medical treatments, and you know, with jaundice they use blue light. And at the moment it changes what I do depending on the project, but consistently I've done teaching at the Art Academy on different kinds of courses, which is where I actually trained, and I do certain basic skills in drawing, painting, sculpture, and then I do teaching on young artists courses, which are run in the summer. I've also developed a special course there which is called Unlocking Creativity, and that's for people who want to kind of connect more to a deeper level with their work, not just learn skills but learn how to apply skills to find their own authentic expression. The other thing is I ran creative team building there for a period of time, and I still do team building, where you get groups from companies come in and you look at, for example, what their aspirations as a company is, and then you get them to do various exercises and then make paintings or sculptures to embody what it is that their company is about. And that can be really quite powerful, because it gives them a whole different connection with what they're really about, and then they can bring the painting back and put it on the wall. And finally, I've done mentoring with some groups of people, like XTRA.art, for example, and individuals when it comes about that people ask me. And I really enjoy that because I like to help people to develop. And then when projects come along, it could be anything. I've worked in one area, like I was working with space last year, but next year it could be something quite different. So I love the challenge of the new. Totally. I think creativity is fundamental to everything. It doesn't matter what field you're in. You could teach maths using art. I had an instance where I was teaching a boy who was 12, and all he wanted to do was rap. He didn't want to learn skills, so we did rap and paint, rap and draw. And I think that it doesn't just have to be the visual arts. It can be through words. It can be through music. And I like moving between different mediums, so I use writing when I'm working on a project, and I use music, I use my body, because I think it's about opening creativity up, and that can help any field. So I actually feel that art, or the creative process, is a core human thing that everybody should be looking at how they can apply it. And I feel that my work is about facilitating that for people, and the more unusual, I really enjoy the challenge. Because I came into doing full-time art training as a mature student, my past career definitely affected it. I did at 18 go to art college. I did a foundation at Camberwell, and then I went to Goldsmiths, but I didn't finish the degree because it was a period of conceptual art where everyone was writing on canvas and getting political and going off to Northern Ireland, and I wanted to make objects of beauty that were to do with well-being and feeling good. So I always had that interest of making treasure-like things. So I was worried about how I'd make a living, and so I did a vocational training in clinical nutrition and dietetics, and ended up working in clinical research at UCL, and then which actually ended up working with psychologists for 7 years, looking at well-being and how to change lifestyle, and learning various like counselling skills and behaviour change skills. And then I thought, I wonder if I could bring this into the NHS. So I worked for a number of years in the NHS, and ended up working in a psychiatric hospital where I ran a group with a psychiatric nurse on food and mood. And that was where the change started to happen for me, because we were getting people who were like self-harming, and what we did is we looked at getting them to sing, to draw, to write, to move, to do anything creative rather than hurt themselves. And it was very successful, the group. And some people made, it's very difficult working mental health, because for some people you can't do much, but for some people it was really helping them to turn around and go into recovery. And I thought, actually, although I love doing this, I also really want to make art myself, which will help people in some way. Innovation has always been in my blood, being creative. So I ran unusual clinics, and I did unusual things even within health professional, which is why I think I see creativity as being something universal, not just to do with art. And then I retrained for 4 years, full-time in art, finally, and I completed that, I think, 5 years ago now. Well, I think going into art is a hugely challenging area. You have to really, really want to do it. Interestingly, there are a lot of mature students, there are a lot of people who come second careers because they haven't felt fulfilled in their earlier careers, but they haven't been in a position to fund themselves until later in life. The problem with art is, when you finish your training, you can't get a job in clinical nutrition or as a lawyer or as a doctor. There's no set path. So you really need to think quite deeply about what you're going to do. Well, you may not know exactly, but how you're going to work with it. It's hard. You've got to create your own mark. And I very much have embraced my previous training into my work. So I don't see it as separate. And people say, how did you get from nutrition to art? And I said, well, actually, they're very connected. Because I'm looking at my art as nutritional. It feeds people, but it feeds them their soul or their well-being, as opposed to feeding physically. Although there is now evidence to show that art, in fact, does affect physical well-being. remaining healthy, I eat very healthily, not all the time, but I love food. I love food. Now eating, the taste, all the senses are part of art. So taste, when I teach, and this is my experience, eating is an artistic experience for me. The smell, the taste, the texture. So sometimes when I'm running a group, I'll get people to bring their favourite food in to taste it and then draw the experience of the taste. And always I'm looking at how to, when you get people to go out of their ordinary comfort zone, it opens them creatively. If they stay within the known and what's safe, they don't expand and grow. They just repeat. The other thing that's very important is I do exercise regularly. Because especially if you're self-employed, you need to have some kind of a rhythm in your life. And I find regular exercise, I do different times, gym, Pilates, swimming. I love walking in nature. All those things help to set a rhythm which support my artwork.